Today, one of our smart topics is love, marriage, relationships. How do you keep the magic alive every day? And once one person decides to call it quits, is it too late to rekindle things? It's a hot topic on our Smart Family 15 Facebook and Twitter pages today. So what do you think if things are going wrong? Well, Marty Rollo says she absolutely believes that couples can do something about it. They loved at one time, and she says the thing is, we as couples sometimes stop acting lovingly. We just take the other person for granted. If we would go back to appreciating and acting with love, well, it makes all the difference in the world. Thanks for sharing on that one. Carrie Fugate-Wilson agrees. She says Marty is dead on. Couples do get lost in the day-to-day and need to come back together and realize what brought them together in the first place. And she says her mom gives that same advice, and she is one to know. She was married at 16, had 3 kids before 20, and is still married 38 years later. Congratulations. Definitely someone to take advice from. So now to a story that did almost end in divorce. Susan and Tim Pullman had been married for 18 years and had fallen into the same old routine of marriage. She was raising their 15-year-old daughter Katie and 11-year-old son Matt, and her husband Tim was busy at work as a top radio executive in LA. He was off to work before the sun came up and home exhausted late every night. And his days were often filled with, if you can imagine, 600 emails, 300 voicemails, and of course the stress of pleasing clients. Susan's day was filled with running a family and often ended with her putting her kids to bed alone. And they were at their end. And Susan had hired a divorce attorney, and then Tim asked her to accompany him on one last trip with his clients to Italy. Well, Susan Pullman joins us to pick up the rest of the journey from there. Nice to see you.
Well, thanks for having me here, Connie.
So, okay, you've got a divorce attorney. You know that this is going to come to an end.
Yes.
And he says, listen, you got to come with me one more trip, and you, as a good corporate wife, head off to Italy together, not really expecting much.
No, it expected business as usual, basically. Yeah. And we went over there with that mindset, and something about Italy just knocked us both sideways. And it gave us some space to sit down and say, you know, what are we doing? Do we really want to split up our family? We knew that deep down inside we didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Everybody basically that you were responsible for over there had gone off on a tour.
Right.
And so the two of you, for the first time in years, find yourself sitting together, walking together, talking together.
Right.
And Tim said something to you that was pretty remarkable.
He said to me, I could live here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I could live here. I mean, we've said that every time we go on vacation together.
Yeah.
But there was something in his voice that I knew that there was more to that. And before I knew it, we had decided that, you know, let's live here.
Yeah.
And let's try to get our act together and start over and climb out of this intense life we've built together and see if we do love each other still.
Yeah.
And
so you did something most people don't have the courage to do. Tim quit a very, very big job in Los Angeles. You guys sold your house.
Yes.
You put everything on the driveway for sale or in storage. And you took a lot of what that money was and you just said, we're going to invest it in us for the next year.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we took that instead of reinvesting it into something else, a 401k, or thank God we didn't do that. But,
right.
You know, we did. We went over and we spent that money living there and traveling and really reconnecting. It was a fantastic. That's normal, you know, and we were in that rut, but you can climb out of that. Yeah. And the most important thing you need to realize is that you have to simplify your life. You have to take things out of your life. And by us climbing out of the life that we had made for each other, we were able to see that simplicity really does work for couples.
And really rediscovered yourself. I saw a quote where you said, you know, it was so liberating not to have to worry about whether the drapes matched anymore. I just didn't care. When you throw everything out and it really just becomes about the person in front of you, and in this case, your husband and your 2 children that you were really trying to save here together.
Right. I mean, life became about doing things together, not owning things.
Yeah.
You know, we went over there literally with just clothes on our back and a couple photographs.
Yeah.
And
you've written a beautiful book. It's called Halfway to Each Other, How a Year in Italy Brought Our Family Back Home Again. And I know you have a book signing tomorrow at Barnes & Noble.
At Tempe Town Lake.
Yeah.
So
it's from 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
Good. So people can come out and get to see the book and also get to meet you in person. It's nice that 7 years after this trip, you were all still together. Things are still great, and you don't care about the curtains anymore.
That's the same thing. Exactly. I don't care about the curtains at all.
Very liberating.
Yeah.
Susan Pullman, thanks so much for sharing your story. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Connie.
If you would like to find out more about Susan or her new book, you can go to our website at abc15.com. Click on the lifestyle link, and you'll find Smart Family right there.